Throughout their life cycle, plastics have a significant carbon footprint and emit 3.4% of global greenhouse gas emissions. Only 9% of all plastic produced is recycled. A whopping 2 million plastic bags are used every minute worldwide. Every minute of every day a truckload of plastic is dumped into the ocean. At the current rate of primary plastic production and disposal, plastic could outnumber fish in the ocean by 2050. Many aquatic animals consume plastic, believing it to be prey. Plastics have been shown to concentrate pollutants up to 1 million times their level in the surrounding seawater and then deliver them to the species that ingest them. India ranks second in the world in plastic waste production. Plastic waste generation has quadrupled in India over the past 5 years. To get a better perspective on India's plastic woes, Sunita Zutshi spoke with Mr. Prabhjot Sodhi, Senior Program Director at the New Delhi-based Center for Environment Education, CEE.
Practically, we are producing about 350 million metric tons every year now in globally. And I don't have the correct figure right in front of me, but I think so we have crossed a billion metric tons of plastic already produced in the world. But anyway, I'll cover up that we are doing about 350 million metric tons. When it started, it was early 60s. And in India, it came in about 70s. Yes, plastic has become a problem today. It was when it was introduced in the world, it's a wonderful material, I say. And this has been classified, of course, in different ways there are different categories of plastic. And then there is a pre-consumer plastic waste, and then there is a post-consumer plastic waste as terms in packaging when you're talking. It's not plastic per se which is a problem, Sunita. It is the plastic packaging which is a problem. And, if we go back to 70s when the plastic was coming in India and in the early 80s, then it was a means as the most cheapest, non-reactive, easy to manage, and a quick replacement to a clean environment. Plastic was seen as a cleaner packaging product. And then it started multiplying into different products. We started with largely polymers of low-density polyethylenes, and then we came into high-density polyethylenes, and then we came into other sectors like polypropylenes, which are different carbon compounds, and they require different ways of managing. Then we came into PVC, then we came into polycarbonates, and then we came into various other products. And one of the products which came in the outcome was PET, which we call. And to tell you that when we started all this, we never realized that it is going to become a problem in terms of packaging, and that it will be used. We were not having any standards around it when we introduced in the world globally. You were asking me, today globally we are producing about 350 million metric tons to 370, and the various assessment reports are saying that it is going to increase very strongly. Even if I take India, the scenario is right now about 22 million metric tons, and it is going to jump to about 35 million metric tons by 2031 or 2032, and maybe 50 million metric tons by around 2045. So that's the scenario in India which is flowing. We are going 60 grams to 30 grams in cities per person. And whereas the national average is, of course, very low, we can take about 8 to 10 grams per person. But the idea is that it is flowing very fast and it is going into multi-dimensional use. Now, styrene was another issue.
Yeah.
So, this has led to generation of plastics getting into the water bodies, and then water bodies going into larger water bodies, and then into the oceans. So we were in the 80s, we were using bags, we were going to shopping then also, and everyone was carrying a cloth bag or a paper bag, and we were producing goods No doubts that plastic has also given us a better health and the risks over health. But in turn, it has now become an irreversible factor that it is becoming to impact the health. Earlier, we were trying to have clean foods packaged in that, but now everything is getting packaged and it's getting over packaged. So the greed of production of plastics and bringing into marketing in the form of packaging everything. Now, today we are seeing red apples coming from New Zealand packed in plastic or thermocol. So where is the person is eating that? And new trends have started to come up. We are having flowers being sold in Delhi, city of Delhi, and in many other cities. They are now packaging each flower in a plastic, and then they're wrapping all the flowers in another filament of polypropylene or polyethylene. So that is becoming a disaster. These flowers are being packed and sold in millions, and that plastic is getting wasted, and it is getting thrown and not collected. The other plastic which is getting into a problem today is when the plastic packaging goes smaller, then it becomes a problem.
Oh.
Then it becomes a problem. Carry on.
How? No, why would it? Why would
that's
it?
a good point,
become more
Sunita.
of a problem?
Thanks for bringing that.
Yes,
Suppose I am having sachets which are being brought in. There is a 2x2-inch sachet. There is a 4x4-inch sachet. There is a little bigger sachet, and they are all of multi-layered plastic. And people are cutting them. There's a sachet like this. They are cutting like this, and that falling apart is less than 5 mm. And that all is getting mixed with the waste, and it is going into the landfills. And that's where the generation of smoke goes, because due to the exothermic reaction, there is heat produced in decomposition. And due to the decomposition, the heat results in catching that small filaments of plastic lying in the pack, and then it gets to fire. And it starts burning very strongly and emitting many, many pollutant gases, of course, sulfur dioxide, nitrous oxide, methane, and then, of course, dioxins and furans, and these are all carcinogenic. So the point I'm trying to make here is that we have to get into a more regenerative economy where we have to ensure that we have to have better designs in packaging. We have to have monomers rather than polymers into packaging. We have also to see and avoid over packaging, unnecessary packaging. Why are we trying to bring small sachets and they are being 1 rupee, 2 rupees for 10 grams? And when you buy a full pack of 1 kg, that is 25-40% lower than the price of if you catch up these 1 into adding number. So the companies are overall benefiting, and we are exploiting the poor to adopt these habits, and they are adopting this. So I'm in a little flux there, and we have to avoid these sort of packagings. So, we have One Earth. Our Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, the Honorable Prime Minister of India, is very strongly advocating through the G20, which we are hosting for 1 year, One Earth, One Family, One Future. I think that makes a great sense, because humanity has to learn to live within planetary boundaries, and we have One Earth. When we decouple economic growth from material use, we have to prevent and reduce waste. And that's what is known as circularity or circular approaches, that let's work with a system that we reduce the production of the waste. How the materials can be recycled. And instead of only primary materials, we need to recycle the secondary materials out of it. How we can promote circular business models. How we can accelerate innovations in design. I already said we used to refill earlier. And that concept has been gone. You can go and buy 100 grams, 200, 500, 1 liter, 2 liter, 150 liters. Now that concept looked very good, but when it becomes indisciplined, then it leaves trash, because littering all over the place, drinking the bottle, throwing it all over the place, And in the developing world, that indiscipline, with my mark of respect to everybody, is leading to this. And more so, it has come across that these trashes are now getting into the forest. We were earlier having a man-animal conflict in the forest. Now we are having a product and an animal and human conflict. We are throwing all the muck in the forest area. The loss of biodiversity is happening there. There are animals which are eating them. They are not realizing that this is a thin plastic and it will go and stick in them. And that's all is proliferated both in the urban bodies as well. So I think so. It is a great reminder that we have to go. The global, if I see the circularity issues, only about 8% is the global circularity into picture. And recycling of plastic, if I talk, we talk about how much we are talking about, 14% globally or 10%. There are varying figures, so I'll take a higher figure to prevent this earth from decay. So we are having a 14% recycling. This is in plastic. Now, I must mention here that Government of India has taken very good steps in the last 5-7 years. Not 1 year, 5-7 years, even 9 years. They have started to think that we have to move from an extractive economy to a regenerative economy. So why I said extraction, global rate for extraction per acre is about 480 metric tons.
My God.
India extraction rate is about 1600 metric tons per acre, 4 times. And if we see the global consumption of resources, all extracted resources, it's about 200 billion metric tons right now. And we are consuming about 7 billion metric tons, which is about 4% to 5% of the community global. Our extraction rate is 4 times higher, but our consumption is lower. So we are having a regenerative economy because it goes in the ethos of the Indian society, or to say in the South Asian system in this part of the global. They have been used to conserve these resources and use it wisely, because we were not a bulging economy with a higher incomes and higher interest rates and higher benefits across the system. So I think so. I'll leave it for you here. Plastic overall is a wonderful material, but it is getting into a very, very difficult phase if there are no promulgations. So Government of India, when I said took very hard steps around 8-9 years, was that they created circular economy committees. They created circular economy committees in 11 sectors. And I luckily was there, part of those committees with the Niti Aayog. They touched base from plastics to textile, to non-ferrous and ferrous metals, to hazardous waste, to electronic waste, to rubber and tires, and solar panels. They touched it separately through the separate line ministries. And in 1 year, they started to make a policy involving more than 250 topmost scientists and bureaucrats, and formed a strategy in each of these 11 sectors that how we should go about for the change into a regenerative system. And now in the last 2-3 years, and then this has been further disseminated into the states, how the states need to incur the expenditures, and a lot of meetings were held in this, but I'm just opening out for you the value chain. And now what is having is that they are coming up that yes, there has to be an extended producer responsibility in each of these sectors in terms of collecting back what is being brought into the market by the producers, importers, and brand owners. So they are the ones who are benefiting. And so they are trying to bring the extended producer. We have already had on plastics in the 2016 rules which were made, and these have been released to have EPRs. We have already had in plastics, we have had in electronic waste. We have now going to have in rubber and tires formulated. We are already having in used oils, lubricating oils. That is already been issued into the public domain. And a fantastic thing which has happened is that Government of India has come up with a green credit program. And that is open from individuals to institutions and to conglomerates.
What is,
right?
tell us more about the green credit.
Right. So the green credit program, which has just come out 2 months back, is to decouple the fact that, look, you are doing good actions, try and calculate those, and then convert them through a system of assessment, and you can convert it into carbon, not footprints, but handprints, that so much of carbon you have saved by doing good work with your hand. And footprint is a factor that you have used so much of carbon and then you have to take care of it. So they have come out with that sort of an approach where people can calculate the good things and can really trade it in the market. Very soon, the trading factors are also coming into the Indian economy, but they have already brought in the material resource efficiency for the sectors like lube oils, lubricating oils, like solar, like plastics, like electronic, like rubber and tire.
So suppose I'm a businessman and I have so much cost to, I incur so much cost every month. What's my incentive as a businessman if I were in India to go in for this this green footprint? What would be my advantage?
That's a very good question. So, green credit program is open to all sectors. It is open to all sectors, all functionaries. Say, for example, sectoral consumption of plastic for packaging is there, building and construction is there, in electronics it is there, furniture it is there, and it is being brought in by various stakeholders. You're getting my point?
Yes.
So each one can then get collecting back that. And if I bring 500 tons, and I need to collect that back within a system, I can then say, look, this is a transparent and traceable system for my collection back. The government has also laid guidelines, and that will help me to show that I have recycled this material and I am bringing it back into the economy and lessening down the virgin consumption of material. You getting my point?
Yes.
Let me exemplify you with another factor. Now, lube oils or used oils or motor vehicle oils that you are calling in US, there is a system there already, and in the European. So used oils is lubricating oils. It's not diesel, it's not petrol. Lubrication, which is used in various ways in the industries, and it's also used in automobiles.
Yeah.
So if I have to talk to you, you see, lubricating oils, I was trying to tell you, it's about 2.8 to 3 million metric tons of consumption of lubricating oils from the oil companies by the various brand owners. And that they are wanting now to have an APR brought into it. That means all the companies that are bringing back oil into the market of 2.8 or 3 million metric tons have to show the collection. How the collection needs to take place, they have also defined that bulk waste generators are there. Anybody who is using more than 1 lakh tons of oil, lubricating oil, has also to collect it back as a bulk waste generator. So there are clear definitions.
There has to be a massive monitoring system for the industrialists.
Yes.
Total honesty, or the government has to slap down monitoring mechanisms.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So what government is doing is they are bringing a portal in which there is a portal which is being developed, like for plastics, it's already developed, where all brand owners, producers and importers will get a separate, secluded identity in that. I cannot open yours, you cannot see mine. They are well protected. So in the portal, I as a marketeer or a producer will put in my sale points, which anyway I will have to do it. So I will say I'm bringing into various states this much oil. It is product agnostic. Oil is oil. It is still collection is being defined whether you have to go statewise or you can collect it as and when where. Right now it's open, it's product agnostic. So I will, in that portal, I will have to put it. Then I will have to give a plan how I'm collecting back, and that plan can change a little bit. See, it is going to start from 1st April 2024. And people have been only to collect 10% of what they are bringing. So if I'm bringing 1 lakh metric tons, I have to only collect 10,000, right? So they are going in a stepwise. The government realizes that we have to build the system across. So what I was trying to say was 2.8 is the consumption or 3 million metric ton. The capacity for re-refining the oil is about 1.5 or 1.7. That means we have to build so much capacities yet. And what the capacity utilization has been is only 10 to 20% of that. So 1.7 to 8, the utilization is only about 1.7 lakh tons, which is so low from 10 million to 1 point. So what I'm trying to say is that there is an opening that government has created. They're creating systems, they're creating standards, they are creating verification processes, and rightly, as you said, that the traceability of the material.
Do you think there'll come a time when there'll be environmental legal codes, and do you think that we are heading towards it?
It's a good point. Environment compensation. So if you're not doing, there will be penalties, and you will have to pay a very heavy cost for as environmental compensation.
Is that
if anything, that has to be there.
has to be there?
And Indian government has come not only in used oils, but in plastics or rubber or other areas under the EPR system. They are saying very heavy, if you are fudging information, you cannot withdraw once you have put it in the portal. You cannot withdraw it. All you have to do is you have to carefully put every 3 months or 6 months that systems are being developed. It's a new entry, and the government is very proactive with the industry, because they have to be proactive if the industry has to grow. All they are saying is, let's not start consuming new virgin materials in every sector. Let's recycle, let's refurbish or regenerate or redesign so that it automatically gets. Now, for example, PET, if I have to tell you, one of the plastics, PET is collected back 90% in India. It is collected back. If India is having a consumption of 1 lakh metric tons of PET, about 90% of that is collected by means, because it has a higher price. It sells between 15 rupees to 20 rupees by a waste picker. We have an informal sector society, and not only in plastic, but across all sectors. Oil is also informally dealt. Solar panels are also dealt. Batteries are also dealt. All are coming under that, right? So when you have a system, so this PET is collected back, and there is a remuneration that 20 rupees I was saying that a person will get. So a person says, okay, let me collect 100 bottles. That is about 18 grams, 10 grams, 15 grams. Let's keep an average of 15 grams. There are small bottles, there are big bottles, all are of PET. Say, suppose I get 10 kgs per day. It is giving me 220 rupees free. I'm just going and collecting that. It is littered all over the place. So when you are going in and around the city in urban places, the PET is not found. It is only the thin plastic. Rigid plastic is also getting collected, which is the high density polyethylene, because that is also fetching 22 rupees or 20 rupees in the market. Thin plastic is also 20 rupees, 18 to 20 rupees, 15 rupees. Very good LDP is there for packaging, for virgin plastic, for food grade packaging. That, if it is collected, it sells at around, but the cost of collection goes high because we do not have a proper disposal system in place. We just keep mixing it, and then we keep throwing it, littering it. That's what we are trying to avoid.
That's my next question. How do you dispose of plastic waste other than landfills? Is there any new technology that has been developed?
So, government has already come, the world is already coming for single-use ban. So alternatives have to be developed for single-use. So I was trying to find out what is the transition towards the single-use plastic. They have banned some 40, 50 items or 20 items in India. Many countries have gone. Canada itself has done ban on single-use plastics. So manufacturing of single-use plastic is defined that these products should be stopped in manufacturing. Now, when you are in a running economy which is growing, which is a developing economy, There, people have made already the investments in machine to bring out that. We have also brought out that less than 120 microns bags will not be produced. So there has to be a shift to happen. They have given 2 years' time, and that is happening. But it will take a little more time because manufacturers have stopped one place and they've gone to another place. Because the single-use plastic manufacturing or the informal plastic manufacturing in the form of recycling is a big issue. Because they are doing in small places where we are having a lot of effluents, where we are having residues, and where we are having emissions. And all three are practically leading to a problem. So we have been involved in doing a mapping exercise of these informal sectors in Rajasthan state. Now we are trying to develop one in the country level, how to do it with an organization which I would not like to name them, but they have asked us to give us a proposal for mapping the informal sector in plastic pan-India. So there are about 50 different places where they exist in numbers, There are cities, there are areas which are marked, and there are hundreds of these informal sector plastic manufacturers. Now, they are also right in their own context. When we had meetings with them, with the state pollution control boards, our idea was to be proactively positive. The city, they were having these, when we had a workshop with them, they were saying, sir, when we started, we are doing since 30 years back. It's not that today we have started. And our factories in that 30 years back were outside the municipal limits. Today, the cities have expanded. Our factories remain this, and they have come in the municipal zones. Please do not ban our factories, because we are also having our livelihoods. What you can do is give us a technological benefit, give us access to funds, and let us ensure that you do not expand. We will not expand any expansion in these factories. That expansion, we will do it outside in order to protect the environment. So, there has to be a win-win situation for everybody. So these sort of clauses, the government is coming up and they are seeing that the emissions should not take place. Okay, you have to put effluent treatment plant. When they started 30 years back, there were no effluent treatment plants. So today, okay, you put your effluent treatment plant, the residues should not be thrown, the water should not be thrown, let's reuse the water. And that sort of investment, we will help you with the banking institutions. You have to get the loans, we will facilitate the process. That sort of a positivity is started to happen in many Indian states. And even government is coming up with big industrial parks. They are thinking how we can have industrial parks which have all units there. So there can be plastic, there can be batteries, there can be steel and non-ferrous metals also. That's a big industry, but there can be other smaller electronics and used oil, little refineries. They can be decentralized. And these parks can have some commonalities, and those common services can be paid for. So it will generate a lot of things. Everybody has not to run through the common services, and there can be a big effluent treatment plant where the common effluent treatments can happen, and they can pay the cost to cover it out. So there is a very, very thought-provoking, innovative ways of mixing happening. And it's in the next 5 years, it will take a good shape. I am sure about it, and very confident in India. Today is going to be a booming economy. People are saying by 2070 or 2060, India is going to be 55 trillion economy, and we will be the number 2 in the world. So these are the extrapolations which the government, which the agencies are doing. Now, that's good, but we have to control the regeneration of the things and not become an extractive, exploitative to the natural materials in the earth which are available for us for the future generation. Otherwise, of course, there is advancement happening in technology. We are going to green hydrogen. We are going to other ways and means of how the things can happen. So there is a lot of investment going in research and development. And I think so countries are becoming very, 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 very open and sharing the technologies across with countries. And good, every day you read it, I read it, that various countries are combining together to share technologies so that, right, it is dissipation is taking place. So I think so that's a good thing. But India certainly is going to be pitched against a tough war to really get the regenerative economy. You see, if you take the population, the rate of increase, divide the Indian population. There was a recent article in Times of India by an institution called Price, and that is known as People's Research of India's Consumer Economy. So if we define that, there are 4 classes of people. The first is those, we call them poor or destitute, where the income level is less than 1.25 lakhs per annum. And then we call them the middle, the aspirant quality, where people are going in where the income level goes from 1.25 to 5 lakh. Then we become the middle class, which goes from 5 lakhs to 30 lakhs per annum. So it can be upper middle class, lower middle class, middle class, and so 3, 4 in that 5 to 25. And then you have the rich people. So this demographic divide, right now it is 15% the first category, and 15% the second category, and some 30% the third category, and 5 to 6% the last category. And then there are missing overlaps and all. But by 2030, it is going to reverse. You see, the first 15% is going to move to 6%. The aspirants from 15% is going to move to 38%. And the middle class is going to move from 30 to 46%. And the rich is going to move from 4 to 10%. So you just imagine the increase in the income levels, and that's going to boom the economy, and that's going to go across the material consumptions. So the whole idea is to balance that consumption in a way that it becomes regenerative. Government is coming up for incentives in recycling. They're coming up for labeling the product, so that people like you and me who would like to buy a pen, that, okay, this is recycled made, let's have a label around it. Okay, this tin is made of recycled. You know, tin can be recycled. We are having tin packaging. I was talking the other day, in a life cycle approach, people are saying tin is better than the glass or better than plastic, because tin is collected and then recycled 100%.
Yes.
And whereas all plastics cannot be recycled, or there will have to be additives around them, and those chemicals will strengthen the plastic. But then those additives, right now, people have different voices and different questions. Some say they are carcinogenic, some say they are not. So there is a little divide going on between that. But in form of tin, there is no problem, or in terms of glass. So that life cycle analysis is also helping in order to see what packaging has to be done. So both the policy is struggling with this, and the producer and the brand owners and the importers are also struggling to get a best mismatch, to get a best match rather than a mismatch this way or this way. So that's how the shape of things to come is going to be. But certainly from the bottom up pyramid, we are going to become a diamond over the next 5 to 10 years.
Hopefully. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sunita, for giving me the time to be on with you on air. And thank you, friends, those who are listening. But it's wonderful meeting you on this platform. The world has changed. Now we can work around.